Alright, in this video I'm going to be talking about the lower back. So the better understanding that you can have of the lower back, the greater capacity that you're going to have in the gym, and also it's going to help reduce your risk of injury. So basically what's happening in your lower back is that you got two spinal erectors that run up either side of your spine, and they just function like any other muscle. They stretch and they squeeze. So the tighter that they squeeze, the safer that your lower back's going to be. Now the reason I want to talk about this specifically and put emphasis on it is because it's relevant in so many places, and keeping your lower back safe should be your number one priority in the gym. So I'm going to take you out and give you a look at how to properly activate the spinal erectors and how to keep your lower back safe. Alright, so we're going to do this in 3 steps. So first, you're going to put your hips back. Don't bring your knees forward. Bring your hips back. Second, we're going to pull the shoulders to the back side of the torso and pin them there. Your shoulders can either sit in front of your torso or behind it. Naturally, they're going to pull forward, so pull them to the back side and squeeze them together, hold them there. Lastly, you're going to rotate your chest forward and try and point it to the wall in front of you, or even think as though you're trying to point it up to the ceiling. So I like to do this with people and get them to do it outside of an exercise so they can get a feel for it and really feel the erectors squeezing and feel your lower back working. So here we're going to see how it translates onto 2 different exercises. We got a straight leg deadlift, and then we got a row. So you might have to readjust parts of this throughout the rep, but pretty much it's always going to fall back to those 3 points. Hips back, shoulders back, chest around. Keep your lower back safe, don't get lazy, stay safe. And while we're talking about the lower back, we might as well touch on belts. So I've got no issue with belts, I'm all for belts, so long as you don't become overly reliant on them, which is a difficult thing to do anyway. So the way I see it is that you're only as strong as the weakest link. So your lower back and your core in particular are always going to be that weakest link. So if you use something to surpass that, say a belt to strengthen the area and also reduce the risk, then you're able to put a higher capability into the actual muscle. Whereas if you don't do this and you hit that shit raw, then you're not going to be able to fulfill the muscle's full capabilities, which I think is something that's extremely valuable to some degree. Particularly on movements like your deadlifts and your rows and your overhead press, it's going to really help increase your capabilities. So nothing wrong with using a belt, just don't become dependent on it. And I would advise, particularly on your heavier movements, once you start getting past 100 kilos, to get yourself a half decent belt, because those cheap ones aren't great. Anyway, hope that helps.